Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to the Sidereal Insights Astro Update for June 18th, 2018. I'm 𝗦𝘀𝘀𝗶𝗵𝘁𝘀. I'm the artist and astrologer of Mystic Physick Astrology, and I use Western Sidereal Astrology to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and remember why you came. My aim with these broadcasts is always to provide guidance on how we can consciously use the energies of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way. In other words, in how we can respond to our transits rather than simply react to them. So if you're just joining me, welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about where we're at for the month of June and what we have coming up for the remainder of the month, and kind of take a sneak peek at what's coming up in July, because some of what will be happening in July is already affecting us now. But please like and share this broadcast, tag a friend if you know someone who might be interested in what we're talking about today, and you can follow Mystic Physick right here on Facebook, and please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So what's up right now? Well, currently we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto retrograde in the heavens, and today we have Neptune joining them retrograde as well. And then before the month is out, we have a little bit more to add to that. We have some out of bounds activity going on right now. Mercury currently, of course, is out of bounds through most of his tour of Gemini, and the Sun is just going to kind of kiss that outer edge on the 21st and 22nd, so keep an eye on that date. That could be interesting to see if we have anything exciting happening when the Sun just kind of touches the edge before he comes right back into bounds. So let's talk a little bit about Mercury out of bounds. So Mercury out of bounds tends to make us inclined to innovative thinking, right? Especially in fields that require skills for analysis, which is a skill that Mercury rules. Problem solving, that's also a Mercury governed skill, and communication. So we can be much more innovative during this transit, but we can also tend to be a little obsessed with stories. And sometimes those are stories from literature or popular culture, or even from film, but they can also be the stories that we tell ourselves in our own head, the stories that we tell about our own lives. So through the remainder of June, you're going to want to be very cognizant of what are those stories you're telling, if you're telling stories, but also be vigilant about what you say and how you say it and how others may take it. Now, this is going to be through the 24th of June. And the reason I say be cognizant of what you say and how you take what other people say to you and how other people receive your words is because we can also tend a little bit to overreact and blow things out of proportion in our conversations with other people. We might misconstrue someone's words more easily, and our own words might be misconstrued more easily as well. So just be aware of that. With Neptune's retrograde, that's beginning today, and it will run through, I believe, the first part of November. So it's a fairly long-term retrograde transit. This is one that happens every year. You might meet Penny today on the broadcast because she's surfing my desk right here. So with Neptune retrograde, what tends to happen is secrets and hidden things can be exposed. So if someone has previously been deceptive or tried to keep a secret, that may come out, even though it's something that happened in the past, that may come out when Neptune is retrograde. And to compound that, we also are entering eclipse season, which can have a similar effect. Secrets and hidden things can be exposed by eclipses. And so this is something that you'll want to be aware of, especially as we go through July and the very height of eclipse season while Neptune is retrograde. Okay, so with Neptune retrograde and then Mars joining him later this month on the 26th, we're going to have a total of five planets retrograde. Most of them are the outer planets, which tend to have a broader influence, but also kind of an intense and prolonged influence in their transits. So we're all feeling life kind of slow down right now. We might be struggling to make forward progress in a lot of different fronts. And we may have things that we had previously thought resolved come back at correction, for adjustment, for tweaking, for review as we go into July and August and September, and even into November. So be aware that a lot of what is begun during these coming months is likely to change at some point in the future. And so if you do have major undertakings going on, or if you have initiations planned in the next couple of months, just be aware of that. The form that they take in the immediate future may not be reflective of their final form, okay? And so there will be some restructuring, there will be some transition, as the eclipses bring changes, as the retrogrades bring reviews and revisions. Resources, our access to those resources may change, where resources that we need may come into our life, or we may be cut off from resources that we need. So there will be some adapting and some adjusting through retrograde season, and especially very intense amount of adjusting to change as we come through July. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the broadcast, and we'll talk a little bit more about that next time as well when we have our next broadcast. So what's important to know is that right now is a good time to just slow down. And it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take a deep breath, to refuse to feel rushed. Don't force things. Don't try to rush things in the next 2 months, especially because we are entering this season of change, and a lot of things are going to be in flux. Do your best to just kind of stay chill, relax, write it out, go with the flow. And then as we come out the other side, take stock of where you're at and what your surroundings look like once the dust settles. So after the eclipses have delivered their news, and even after our upcoming Mercury retrograde, which we are going to be running into late next month. Okay, so with the current retrograde transits, these are very heavily affecting folks with a sun or rising sign in Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, and Aries coming up when Mars hits his retrograde as well. So a lot of people are feeling this to some degree. A lot of us are affected in one way or another, okay? And that's only going to be added to next month when we do have Mercury retrograde as well. We'll end up including folks with a sun or ascendant in Gemini or Virgo as well. Although one lucky change we'll have coming up next month is that we'll have Jupiter go direct. So he'll be stepping out of the mess of retrograde planets, which will help. Okay, so as far as the Mars retrograde that we have coming up beginning the 26th of June, you can read more about that retrograde transit and what Mars retrograde is like. You need to know things you need as far as tips for what to do and what not to do during that 2-month retrograde period. You can read more at mysticphysick.com/Mars-retrograde. And I can post a link for that blog post in the comments so that you can keep it handy as we get closer to Mars's retrograde. And then coming up later this month on the 28th, we have our full moon in Sagittarius. And this could be kind of a challenging full moon for a couple of reasons. Jupiter, who we consider the great benefic, rules this particular full moon from Libra. The reason why this could be kind of challenging is because Jupiter is still retrograde, and he will be retrograde during that full moon. So he's in a kind of weakened state. We don't have the full benefit of his protection as the great benefic, okay? He will be receiving a challenge from Mars at the time of that full moon, and Mars will also be retrograde as well. And Mars retrograde can tend to make us a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more irritable. And so that Jupiter retrograde, Mars retrograde aspect could amplify Mars's more aggressive tendencies right at the full moon when we're feeling impulsive anyway. So keep an eye out in the days around that upcoming full moon in Sagittarius on the 28th. And especially watch the days at the end of the month for surprise news, for travel difficulties or delays, or for accidents to come up. because after the full moon, Mercury and Uranus are going to tangle going into that weekend. And so there's a risk there related to travel and accidents, especially with Uranus involved. Some July activity coming up. So Mars will be stepping out of bounds, actually, just after, in about a week and a half or so after Mercury returns in bounds. Mars will be out of bounds from July 7th through, I believe, September 24th. And then we have Mercury going retrograde at the end of July, just as we're in the middle of eclipse season, okay? Eclipse season is important to keep in mind that changes are afoot, and there are likely to be changes that are outside of your control. So it's not necessarily a great time for making plans, because you may be forced into a situation where you have to just react and deal with the changes that are happening around you. We'll talk more about that as well. I'm planning a live presentation on eclipses for the Sidereal Insights astrology group here on Facebook in the community coming up in the early weeks of July. So stay tuned for more information about that, because we'll talk a little bit more specifically about what you need to know to navigate eclipse season a little easier, because it is such a time of upheaval and change. Now, be sure, like I said, to visit mystickphysick.com/Mars-retrograde to learn more about Mars's upcoming retrograde in Capricorn. And just a few announcements for this broadcast. So our July horoscopes are a little bit delayed. They're still in process, and they are due to be published coming up this Thursday. So I will keep you posted about when those hit the website. They'll be available for advanced subscribers to the Sidereal monthly horoscopes. The July overview and short reports are already available. So if you have your subscription active, please check those out. It's going to provide valuable information for what you need to know going into July. And then also join me and the rest of the community in the Sidereal Insights Astrology Facebook group. Will be live Thursday the 28th at 7:30 p.m. for the full moon in Sagittarius, releasing practice. And don't forget that you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is a new venture that we've launched this year. We're archiving all of our broadcasts and videos in their final edited form at the website. So it's a great place to go to catch up if you happen to miss one of the live broadcasts. And then if you would, please like and share this broadcast, especially if you know anyone that may benefit from just keeping in touch on what the sidereal transits are going on currently and how we can react to them and respond to them appropriately and use the energy in a positive way in our lives. And if you have any questions, please be sure to leave them for me in the comments section on the broadcast, especially if you're catching the replay. I do monitor the comments on the broadcast throughout the days following so that I can respond to any questions or comments which you may have. And sometimes questions do come up, so definitely share those in the comments if you have any questions for us. And thank you for joining me. See you again on the 28th in the Sidereal Insights community. Thanks so much. Bye.